Stand by to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2. 1. Mark.
Hello everyone, my name is Mark, aka Derringer. Today is Sunday, January 20th, and you are listening to episode 192 of the Instant Action Podcast, your weekly source for Planetside news and information. As always, I'm brought to you by great listeners like you via the Support the Show tab on instantactionpodcast.com. So what's been going on this past week? Well, I think probably the biggest news for me, besides playing as much Planetside 2 as I possibly could, I did finally pull the trigger on a new PC for myself. I did some research and realized that it had been 5 years since I had last upgraded my PC, and I felt that 5 years probably was a little too long. Now, prior to this upgrade, I've been running an i7 4770K, which is not a terrible processor. It's not bad at all. I mean, Planetside 2 has run perfectly fine, and I'll even go so far as to say that in my testing of Planetside Arena, that has handled that game perfectly fine with no issues as well. However, if you guys know anything about PCs, which I believe a lot of you guys do, you know that if I'm using the 4770K, that means I'm using the LGA 1150 motherboard, which can't take advantage of DDR4 memory and stuff like that. So, unfortunately, no matter what upgrade I was making at this point, I was going to have to buy a new motherboard to go along with the processor. So I decided that maybe it was time to switch teams from Intel and go over to AMD this time around, because I've been hearing decent things about the new Ryzen processors. At first I thought maybe I should wait for the Ryzen 3000 processors to come out, but everything that I'm reading says we're 6 months or more away from that, and now's when I can kind of afford to do this little upgrade for myself. So I did decide and make an ultimate purchase of a Ryzen 7 2700X processor. I also purchased an MSI B450M motherboard. I did also upgrade my RAM at this point. I was using only 8 gig of DDR3. I think it was like 1333 memory, so really old memory at this point. So I upgraded to some Corsair Vengeance. Now I'm rocking 16 gigabytes, or will be. I haven't fully built it yet. 16 gigabytes of DDR4 3000 memory, which certainly is a huge step up from where I was. I'm still going to be using the same GTX 1060 6 gigabyte. That should probably be fine for everything that I'm doing. I'm only gaming at 1080p, so that's perfectly fine for what I'm actually doing. And this time around, I was not buying a new motherboard. So, I mean, it's not a new motherboard, a new monitor. So that will probably be my next upgrade, to move up to a better monitor at this point, because everything's saying that I should get up from the 60 hertz that I'm at and go up to the 144 at least, to have a better gaming experience at this point. So, like I said, I have a new PC in parts sitting behind me right now. As soon as I'm done recording this show, I'm most likely going to sit down and try and put this together. Unfortunately, the Patriots game is on later this evening, and I'll probably have to stop to watch that as well. But I'm excited to put together this new PC and see what happens, because kind of my goal this year is to obviously play as much Planetside as I can, whether it's PS2 or Arena at this point. And I also think that I'd like to try and do a little bit more streaming than I've been doing in the past. And everything that I've read says the Ryzen processor, because it's good at multitasking and everything like that, that it's the preferable platform to do gaming and at the same time live streaming on a single PC. So I'd kind of like to get away from streaming on a secondary laptop like I have been. So again, these are just some of the things that I have done recently to kind of upgrade my computer at this point. So I'm looking forward to putting that all together at some point later today. But enough about what's going on with me. What's in store for this week's show? Well, first, I have a PS4 hotfix that I want to quickly talk about, and then that's followed up by the announcement of Double XP and the Nanite Appreciation Week sales. After that, I want to talk about the recent dev live stream that happened just this past Friday. And then I'm going to finish this week's show with some Planetside Arena talk about the state of the beta and its release date. So strap in as we hot drop into another episode of the Instant Action Podcast. So first up, like I said, January 17th, the PlayStation 4 had a hotfix for Planetside 2. Servers were down for a couple of hours. The biggest thing in this hotfix was a server performance issue that the devs said they had identified and corrected. There were some very specific areas that were causing server performance issues. Unfortunately, they gave no further information regarding what those specific areas were. And from all the reports that I get from my friends who play on the PS4, that whatever this is, it's still not helping the majority of the players that are having issues on the PS4. And I mean, as we know, I talked about it last week, that Nick says they've got some very big plans and big updates coming to the PS4 side of the game, and they're not ready to announce what those are yet. So suffice to say, these very specific areas that are covered in these patch notes are not the big news regarding performance that Nick has talked about in the past. So if you're still experiencing performance issues on the PS4, you're going to have to sit with them for a little bit longer until they let us know what these things are. In addition, though, there were some other fixes for the PS4. These are all fixes that came to the PC side last week via a hotfix. And these included the promise using the correct gold and Araxium tier kill requirements, the Amrish Forest version 2, the Dark Aspect Forest, the Urban Forest camo. They should all show correct colors, appear correctly on vehicles and models. The Dark Digital should also be fixed regarding its tiling on infantry models. And then finally, the Squad Platoon waypoints should tint correctly again on the PS4. Again, these were all changes that came to the PC side in the last hotfix, and are really just playing catch up on the PS4 side of Planetside 2 at this point. So that is all we have for this particular hotfix. Let's move on to our second topic this week. And that second topic is Double XP for everybody and also Nanite Appreciation Week. These were both announced on the Planetside 2 website. So first up, let's talk Double XP. So from January 18th, this is 2 days ago at this point, running through January 24th. For those that are curious, January 24th is this coming Thursday. Everybody is going to receive double XP for kicking off the new year, as it were. Also, don't forget that if you are a member, Members Double XP starts on the 25th and runs through the 27th. So if you're a member, you'll take the Double XP for all going from the 18th to the 24th, and then it'll seamlessly roll over through the 25th to the 27th. So members get an extra 3 days on top of what everybody else is getting for double XP. And then on top of that, also starting on January 18th, last Thursday, Nanite Appreciation Week has kicked off. And honestly, Nanite Appreciation Week is not the best name for it, because Nanite Appreciation Week, quote unquote, is running from January 18th through February 1st. So that's actually 2 full weeks. So maybe it's Nanite Appreciation Weeks is what it should be called, not week, because basically every deal from December's 31 Days of Araximus is making its way back. And this includes the correction or the fixing of all the various ones that were broken. That includes the gift-wrapped camo, the Lunar Tires bundle. Basically those things were broken. And we didn't actually get them last time around. So, I mean, we're talking about this is a good chance if you missed out on any of the anniversary bundles, because bundles 1 through 5 are all available right now. The PS1 Bending bundle is available right now. The NS Arsenal bundle, Ravenous bundle, you'll get 50% off, 40% off the Heatwave bundle. Starcross bundle's back. The HL4 armor bundles are back. The St. Patrick's Day bundle is back. You can also, like I said, that faction wrapped camo. You can get your pink camos, metallic faction camos, solid faction camos, the bare metal camo, faction gold pistols, the platinum heavy weapons. If you've missed out on the NS11C platinum version or the platinum commissioner or the platinum NS15M, again, all of these things are back and available in the depot right now. And like I said, you've got 2 weeks to make up for anything that you missed during the 31 Days of Araximus 2018 sale. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I missed in these sales. I mean, besides the HL4 armor bundle, which I didn't buy, I think I have pretty much everything else except for that faction wrapped camo. Maybe this is my chance to go in and take care of that faction wrapped camo that I believe that I don't have. Now, on top of that, there's something additional that's added to the Nanite Appreciation Weeks. The entire NSX Infantry Arsenal selection will also be available for purchase. So, the Nanite Systems tech is your thing. You're going to want to build up your particular weapon pool at this time. So I had to log in and check this one because I don't know if this one's been actually offered before. Normal full price of this is $63.92. Since I'm a member, it's down to $35.99, which isn't too bad. If you unlock the NSX Infantry Arsenal, you get the Daimyo, the Tengu, the Yumi, the Tantu, the Masamune, the Tomoe, the Amaterasu, and the Naginata. So basically every NSX weapon that is out there currently. So interesting if you don't have a bunch of those. I'm looking through mine right now. On my NC character, I have 4 of the 8. So I have half of them. I don't know if I would even spend the money on this. But if you're brand new and don't have any of them, so that's certainly an option. So that's Nanite Appreciation Weeks. Again, it's multiple weeks, all wrapped up for you. Again, I'm looking at that faction. I always say I'm going to buy all this stuff, and then I buy it and never use it. I mean, because I really wear my SOE Live camo pretty much exclusively everywhere that I go. But I do like the wrapping paper camo. It doesn't look that bad at all. But that is the second topic altogether. Again, double XP going from January 18th to 24th for all people, and then 25th, 27th if you're a member. And then on top of that, Nanite Appreciation Week is running for 2 weeks this year and ending on February 1st. So if you missed anything for Christmas, during the Christmas or 31 Days of Araximus, now is the time to make up for that. With that, let's move on to our third topic this week. So third up this week, in case you guys missed it, the devs actually did their first community stream in a long time. Now, I'm talking about, if you want to talk about how long ago we're talking about, it's been over 3 years since they've done some sort of Friday night ops, as it were. The last one occurred on August 5th, 2014. And they'd had a good run on these Friday Night Ops events. There were 73 of them. that had been run up until that point. And I mean, back in the Reachcast days, I do recall that Torx Knox and I were super excited when we got asked to have our outfit come and be on them. This was back when I was in, God, what the heck was the outfit name? Imperial Reach all the way back then. And I think we're probably talking about 2013 that we got asked to be on Friday Night Ops, and it was an awesome time. But yeah, they used to do Friday Night Ops every week, or pretty close to every week, and they'd invite some member of the community or some particular outfit, and they would run with that particular outfit on that night. They'd do a little interview with that outfit and talk about some of the people that are in it, and they'd answer questions from members of those outfits, and they'd just generally have a decent time playing on Friday Night Ops. But again, that kind of died once Margaret Crone or Luperza left Daybreak Games, and I think that time it was still SOE at the time. But when she left, these kind of died off, and it's been a long time coming to get one of these streams back up and running. Now, they didn't call it Friday Night Ops because it technically took place during the day. I mean, for me on the East Coast, it happened at 5 p.m. or started at 5 p.m. For them on the West Coast, or in California, it was at 2 p.m. So it was in the middle of their day, middle of their work day. But we got Roxley on, we got Nick on, we had Drew on, we had Paul on, and they were all happily playing Planetside 2. I was on and playing in the squad with all of them for a little while at least. Like I said, unfortunately, the 5 o'clock time frame just did not work for me. Obviously, I work from home on Fridays, so that's my best day, honestly. So when 5 o'clock rolls around, I just stop working and can go do whatever the heck I want. So I could certainly log in at 5 and check this out, but I couldn't run it for that long because I got dinner with the family and stuff like that, and this was happening right smack dab in the middle of that. And I feel for people that are not even in the U.S., because the time zone was probably even wackier for those folks to get to check something like this out. But all that being said, I'm very happy that they wanted to sit down and do something like this. And I'm not saying that they should do this every week, make it a Friday type deal, but once a month, it wouldn't be a bad idea just to sit folks down and do that. And I mean, they can take community questions while they're playing, and who cares if they're bad at Planetside 2? At least no one can argue that the devs don't play the game that they're producing. So again, big kudos, to the devs for sitting down and actually kind of bringing this back to the game and playing around and having some fun. And we got to see Drew with his fresh haircut and almost no beard, which is kind of shocking to see him like that because he's had that huge scruffy beard for a while now. But again, it was very nice to see all of them in-game playing, interacting with the community, having a good time. Again, it doesn't matter what their play style was like. They were at least in-game, and while they were playing, they were answering questions from folks in the Twitch stream, and it was really good. And I hope they do more of it. If it's not a weekly thing, once a month thing minimum is what they should be looking at, and just play the game with people. It shows how invested you are in the community and in your game if you're willing to set aside some time and just have fun and play the game. Now, I know Drew's been doing a lot of streaming lately on his own. Rel does streaming on his own also, but I usually don't see Nick or Paul, or I haven't seen anything from Garrett or anything like that. So I think a lot of those people probably could stream a little bit more Planetside 2 in this particular setting. And it would be good, like I said, it's good for the community to see stuff like that. Now, what questions did the community ask that got answered? Now, there were some of them, so that's good. A lot of people were asking what was happening with Osher and the answer from Roxley that was they still plan to release it in 2019, but from the sounds of it, it seems like it's going to be a late 2019 release and not an early 2019 release. People also asked what was going on with the NS operatives at this point, and Nick says that they are kind of broken currently, but they're close to fixing it and finishing it and having those ready to go, and there's going to be a pretty big play test coming for them, and it's going to be in the next major update. On top of that, though, they said that they're not going to release the NS operatives until they're able to release DirectX 11 at the same time. So again, these two things, NSO and DX11, are kind of dependent on each other to coming to the game. Not that they're dependent on each other, one won't work without the other and vice versa. Nick has said that they are looking to have the two of those things come at the exact same time, and they'll be holding off one until the other's ready. It sounds like they're holding off on the NS operatives until the DirectX 11 update is ready. But they do say that they want to get both of those out in the next big game update that we should be seeing. They're also going to be importing the DX11 update back into the code base of the game itself. They're going to be doing it in stages. They're going to be completely changing the renderer from the ground up and things like that. They do feel that DX11 is going to give them a lot of client improvements, especially on the PlayStation 4. So they expect a lot of performance improvement on the PlayStation 4 when DirectX 11 heads over there. They also said, and this was coming from Paul, that there was a lot of things that they wanted to do with the game, like update shaders and things like that, but they couldn't do it with DirectX 9. And they'll be able to do stuff like that in DirectX 11, and that will get us more frames within the game, which should make everybody happy altogether. Now, they also answered some questions regarding server optimization, because as we know, we were plagued at the end of December and into early January with a lot of client-side issues, and while searching for the problems, they found a lot of other leads on performance optimizations that they're going to be following in the future. And Nick did say that the reason December was so bad is that there were some changes to spawning that massively aggravated a known issue. They fixed that, and that's why we saw the changes or the better gameplay since they pushed that update out. But again, that they found some other things that they're going to change to help tweak performance, and we'll see some of those things coming in the future. Also, some other things that they talked about included the Nanite Appreciation sale, which I just covered in the previous topic. And they did say that they're going to extend it all the way through February 1st, so you have time to buy everything that you were looking for. But again, the most important takeaway from this stream itself, rather than them sitting and answering specific questions from the community, is that the devs were playing the game. Now, they weren't leading or anything like that. They were just sitting in a squad and playing, while we had other leaders in TeamSpeak telling people where to go and what to do and things like that. But again, the biggest takeaway is they were in game. They were having fun. The players were having fun. People were hunting them out and things like that. But it's good to see them in game, playing the game, interacting with the community, having a good time, a good back and forth, and things like that. And I really hope that they use this as a springboard to continue doing stuff like that in game, because it can't hurt, is really what it comes down to. So again, props to the devs for putting this together on a Friday afternoon, maybe when they should be working, but that's neither here nor there. But they did play. It was live, and I think pretty much everybody had a good time. But with that, let's shift gears and move to the fourth and final topic this week. And that last topic is going to be about Planetside Arena. And again, you guys know I am in the closed beta or the pre-beta testing of Planetside Arena. I have played Planetside Arena. Again, I did not upgrade my computer so that it could play Planetside Arena better. My 4770K processor and 1060 6GB NVIDIA card coupled together with my 8 gig of RAM played Planetside Arena perfectly fine. Again, that's not the reason that I am upgrading my computer. It's for a bunch of other reasons, which I talked at the beginning of the show. But there's some concerns that I have about Planetside Arena right now. And if the devs are listening to this, you probably already know everything that I'm going to say. But I'm still going to echo a lot of concerns that the community has. Today is January 20th. The release date for Planetside Arena is January 29th. That's next Tuesday. In the meantime, we are supposed to have a beta and then launch the full game itself. Now, for most people, when you say beta, they expect a beta to last more than a week. As it stands right now, we are not going to have a beta longer than a week. In fact, I would not be surprised at this point if the beta starts on the 25th and ends on the 27th. They make some fixes to the game during downtime on the 28th and launch the full game on the 29th. I'm not saying that that is what I have been told, because no one has been told outside of Daybreak Games when this beta is going to begin or anything like that. So I have a lot of concerns with such a short beta as that. Again, your goal at this point, if you're a developer, should be to get as many people as humanly possible into the game to try and break things so that you can fix them prior to launching a game, because obviously you don't want to launch a half-broken game. Let's talk Fallout 76 is a prime example, and I don't think anybody wants to follow in the footsteps of Fallout 76. Fallout 76 basically had a weekend beta before the game launched, and then the game launched, and it was so buggy that people demanded a refund of their money immediately. I don't want to see the same thing happen with Planetside Arena. That's why I'm a little disappointed that not everybody who purchased the game or pre-purchased or is a member of Planetside 2 and got a free beta or whatnot has been invited to the beta at this point to actually play it. Again, that's a little concerning to me. You really got to have this stuff tested. And I know they're doing the internal testing. They do have a group of folks who are playing the game. I know quite a few people who are in the beta for Planetside Arena. And I know we've all been playing it, and again, me just saying that I've had no issues with the game doesn't mean other people haven't had issues with the game on their systems. I know we're submitting bugs and everything like that because that's what you do during a beta. But I think the time frame is too much of a time crunch, in my personal opinion. Now, does that mean they can't deliver a perfectly playable game on the 29th that everybody's happy with? No. That's certainly a possibility, but let's face facts at this point. Delaying the beta much longer gives the community much less hope for the game to come out. I know people have been canceling their pre-orders for the game and things like that because they haven't gotten in the beta yet. Granted, in a perfect world, if I was doing marketing or developing for Planetside Arena, I probably would have initiated the beta a week after the announcement was made that Planetside Arena was even coming out, and let everybody play it and let everybody hype the game and get people psyched to get into this thing. But we're getting closer and closer to the launch date, and people are getting more and more worried at this point that Planetside Arena is going to be a flop when it launches, and will ultimately go the route of H1Z1, which a lot of people are not happy with the way that is run. I want Planetside Arena to be the next Fortnite. I want it to suck in all those Fortnite kiddies who are having a great time playing Fortnite and get them into Planetside Arena. And then have some of them say, wow, Planetside Arena is so cool. I wonder what Planetside 2 is like. And get a whole bunch of those new people into Planetside 2. And not so that I can seal club them. I want Planetside Arena to succeed so that it can spawn additional money for Planetside 2 development and things like that. All right. I guess this is enough of a rant on my end, and if anybody from the Planetside Arena dev team is listening, I hope you take my words to heart, because it's a little disconcerting at this point. But with that, let's wrap up this week's show and move on into housekeeping.
Housekeeping! Housekeeping!
Come back later, please.
Housekeeping!
Not now.
Housekeeping!
Go away.
I coming anyway?
Now, for housekeeping, no emails this week. I think everybody's taking a break. I did get one voicemail. Unfortunately, it was a voicemail that said my car insurance was expiring, so I'm certainly not going to play that on this week's show for you. But that's going to be it for this week's show. So how can you get in touch with me or the show itself? First off, your first stop should be my website, www.instantactionpodcast.com. Next, email me, instantactionshow@gmail.com. As you know, you email me, I read it, and discuss it on the show. You can call me, like that auto insurance company did, at 347-4VM for PS2. Those numbers are 347-486-4772. You can also follow the show on Twitter at InstActPodcast. And honestly, that's the best place, because you're going to get all the news regarding the show as soon as I post it on Twitter. Also, you can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter is @TheDerringer. But in closing, if you've enjoyed the show, please leave me a review on your podcast listening avenue of choice, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere else. I mean, I know I stressed it last week, but I'm going to stress it again. I really could use your reviews on all of those various sites. Right now, looking at iTunes, I only have 9 reviews. Granted, they're all 5-star reviews, so I thank everybody for that. So join people like Sad362232 or Dr. Cheese and Crackers or Mordak, who all left me some pretty damn awesome reviews over there. I'd love to see even more on iTunes at this point. Looking at Stitcher, you could be the first person to leave me a review, and I guess it doesn't look like Google Play even lets you do that, whatever. Also, feel free to tell your friends and outfit mates about the show, but finally, thanks for listening, and keep spamming that Join Combat, formerly known as Instant Action button.